Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, hope you enjoyed that shorter break, by the way. Very much shorter break here. Shout out to the boys, Pappy. Shout out to the SE boys, as they've been, of course, working on that. As we are here, we are live with Group B. We're done with Group D. Group D, of course, Oliveira and Jeshi did make it through the group. Meanwhile, we're now jumping into a fresh series, a fresh group here, soO versus FanTaSy. Here in Group B, we have soO, FanTaSy, TY, and Coffee, 3 Terrans, and a Zerg. And I'm very excited to see how our players do shape up against each other. Bearing in mind, of course, this is the Zerg patch. True, Zerg is heavily buffed, and soO is coming in as one of the favorites to win the entire tournament. Even if we were playing on the previous patch, for example, I would still favor soO purely because he only retired like what, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. It's been pretty recent. Like soO, he only recently retired from StarCraft 2, so because of that, trying to get back into shape, back into form, it's going to be a little bit easier for soO, I would imagine, compared to FanTaSy or TY or some of these other players that retired many more years ago. Likewise, apparently soO's also been competing in Brood War, so because of that, I would say that maybe not like certain skills translate over, maybe not too much, but what I will say is like the speed, right? Your speed of your fingers, right? Your reaction time, a lot of that is going to be able to cross over as you've been still working on that yourself. I should also emphasize that FanTaSy also did switch to Brood War, but he retired from Brood War as well. FanTaSy retired from SE2, went to Brood War. He did compete in Brood War for like 2 years, right? Like 1 to 2 years, and then retired from Brood War as well. So FanTaSy has been a lot out of that pro gamer lifestyle for much longer, I should say. So coming into this, we're going to lean towards soO, but I would want to see FanTaSy take it to soO. I want to see him play, compete. FanTaSy is an amazing player. He had a lot of potential. I mean, he was an accomplished player, of course, when it comes to StarCraft 2, and had a lot of potential when it came to his return after military service, but did decide to switch back to Brood War, which was a really sad time, I will say. Like, FanTaSy was doing really well. He came back after military service. He competed for like a couple of months, and then went back to Brood War. It was very sad. It was very sad when we lost him, Pappy. When we lost him. But otherwise, we are jumping into our fresh series. Let's go. Vitas are done, and we're jumping to game numero uno. soO is bordering on ASL quality. Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. The King of the Kongs versus the GG timing. True. Oh no. We're in for a long one as spawning in the right hand corner of Lockdown. We have the South Korean Zerg player. It is soO. And spawning in the bottom hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. It is FanTaSy. Let's go, baby. Let's go. As we are jumping into our first series, and if you're in the chat, you know what time it is Gamba time. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we load into Lockdown. Lockdown is an interesting map in the map pool. I would say does have a bit of a shorter rush distance by ground, but has more defendable positions. I'm referring to the high ground natural base. I'm referring to the high ground third base as well, and also the choke points scattered throughout the center, and even destructible rocks as well. So there are ways to make use of the terrain to try to slow things down and try to stem the tide and stop aggression and build up into the mid game. So we're expecting more mid-game play here out of our 2 players. Again, we had a hyper-aggressive PvP earlier, but now we can embrace our ZvT as soO does open up pool first. Now, pool first builds have been more common in the new patch. The rationale for this is because of the low worker start, the Rax is faster. Because the Rax is faster, the Reaper is faster, and we have seen a lot of success when it comes to early Reaper aggression in ZvT. Because of that, we've seen more and more Zerg players stop going hatch first and start going pool first instead against Terran. So we have seen that switch. We have seen that adaptation over the past 3 days. So soO, he's watching. He's watching, Pappy. He's watching. As it is a pool hatch gas opener out of soO. From here, we're going to be able to drone up as set up, but we do see 4 Lings are on the way. 4 Lings, that's not enough to be hyper aggressive. It's just a way to be safe. We might try to sneak past the Reaper and get across the map and try to find some damage on the CC. There's potential there. Otherwise, I might just keep this at home to defend against said Reaper aggression. And for now, it looks like soO does want to move out, so we'll see if we can avoid that Reaper and disrupt the CC. Here we go. As you can see, he's rallied in. At the same time, Reaper is also rallied across the map, but remember, because of the early pull, the Queen is popping out faster. Hatchery timing is spotted. FanTaSy is now aware. Does spot the other Queen. FanTaSy knows. He now does know what's going on. Likewise, does pull back. Zergling goes down, he gets one, he gets both. Yeah, both Zerglings will fall. They will delay the CC by like a second or two, but that's really all the damage that was dealt. So far, FanTaSy looking solid. Looking good. As FanTaSy did open up double Reaper. Now, speaking on common builds, because we've been seeing more pull first out of Zergs, we've been seeing more double Reaper out of Terran. So the second Reaper could defend while the first Reaper moved out. Ooh, but both Reapers do move out across the map, and we will pick off the SCV. Okay, so nice moves out of soO. He hides the two Zerglings. He only lost two to begin with, and with that, he still delays, and he will still force FanTaSy back home. Very nice damage here by soO. Again, very aware of the meta. Both players, to be fair, as we get a second SCV. Oh my god, heavy delay for FanTaSy. Again, punished for moving out, punished for not respecting the bull first. He was unaware there were extra Zerglings, and he was caught with his pants down. The pants were down, pappy. And soO starts off with the lead. Oh my god. soO skipping link speed. He skips link speed, going lair first. Very fast lair timing out of soO. This can lead into 2-base Muta or 2-base Nidus all-in or 2-base Roach play. Meanwhile, FanTaSy going for a third TC before Starport. Standard build out of FanTaSy, but FanTaSy's build has been delayed. And do you see what I see? I see a fast Roach Warren. Ooh, fast Roach Warren here out of soO. So soO is going for a 2-base all-in. Lair is scouted though. Big scout there for FanTaSy. He does spot the fast lair, but he has not seen what is going on. Is it Muta or is it Roach? Mech? On the flip side of things, FanTaSy is going 3cc into Mech. Ay, papi. Is FanTaSy just gonna die to a Roach all-in? Going Mech like this, you're gonna be reliant on a battle Mech composition, a Hellion Cyclone, but Roaches are built for that. We have fast pulsing carapace. Roach speed is on the way. We're gonna be hitting that Roach speed and plus on carapace timing. soO's gonna get third base. In my mind, it's gonna be just for Larva. And we'll see if FanTaSy can piece together what's going on. Does pick up the ramp. And he gets past. Yeah, it does slip by. No lings. Yeah, no Zerglings to defend. Drones are going to get roasted. Very nice damage out of FanTaSy. 6 drone kills, and he gets a full scout. He confirms the Roach Warren. Big scout by FanTaSy. He's still not done. Oh my god, still not done. 8 drones going down. Nice damage. And again, a big reason why this got so much damage is because soO skipped Ling production. Remember, he skipped Lings, he was rushing Roaches, he was trying to wall off on 2 bases, but he failed to wall. He failed to wall, there was a gap in the wall there, and with that, soO now takes some heavy losses, and he gets scouted, and now we have a back and forth. Initially, FanTaSy had a rough start, but soO has a rough early to mid game, so now we have things evening up here. FanTaSy gaining map control, the Roach all-in, the Roach play has been spotted, and back at home, FanTaSy begins tank production. So he starts up those tanks, getting ready for any kind of assault. Meanwhile, soO, ooh, supply blocked. Yeah, soO supply blocked. 3 overlords are on the way. A couple of Roaches slip by, but again, it's only a couple of Roaches. Once again, gets in. Oh my god. Yeah, once again, FanTaSy gets into the middle line. Once again, 5 drones go down. We're getting roasted here. 6 drone kills across the map. Roaches, they move in, but there's a tank to defend. Yeah, there is that tank. soO will avoid. Yeah, it does stay out of range. Pulls away, so it stays out of range. It does get 6 SCV kills. Very nice damage here by soO. Tank is trying to move in. And soO will eventually be cleaned up, but he will disrupt a lot of mining. Disrupts the mining before being cleaned up. Behind this, soO is droning. He's droning, saturating. Again, if the plan was to go for an all-in, that plan has come and gone. Infestation bit's on the way in towards safety infestors in case it is to be battle mech for that fungal. Oh god, no, another drones on again. You don't want to be soO's workers, pappy. Another 2 drones go down for another 2 SCVs. So a bit of a back and forth here. We can see that FanTaSy has built up a secure tank count, now switching into battle mech, into Cyclone production. So Hellion Cyclone out of FanTaSy. Meanwhile, soO committing here with Mass Roach into what should be infestors. Remember, he does have the pits, but no infestors yet. Yeah, no infestors yet here. as we are massing up. Once again, soO getting supply blocked, 5 overlords on the way. And we'll see if FanTaSy can punish the economy once again. Oh, but that is not Infestor, that is Swarm Host. Okay. I mean, Swarm Host is viable against mech, especially a more traditional form of mech, specifically Hellion Tank. Against Hellion Cyclone, I'm a little bit more concerned for soO. I'm a little bit less convinced, is what I should say. But we'll see. Show us what you got. We got 12 Swarm Hosts on the way. Again, Swarm Hosts, they can do really well if you have map control, but the problem is that Battle Mech often should not lose map control, as Hellions, they get it once again. Yeah, 3, 4, up to 6 more drones going down, once again roasting off the mineral line, 7 drone kills. The question becomes, were the Swarm Hosts scouted? Scans the natural, what does he see? Sees roaches popping out, now he confirms. Okay, now it does confirm. Now he is aware, and again, FanTaSy needs to fight for map control to make sure that the Swarm Hosts don't get close, that they don't get free damage. Another Hellion into the main. soO pushing out. Here comes a Locust Wave. He wants the tanks. Uh-oh. Yeah, he wants those tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks are exposed. He's going to get at least 3. Yeah, 3 tanks go down. Can he get 4? Oh, actually, no. He only gets 2 tanks. One of them barely survived. No target firing. No target firing out of soO. So FanTaSy trying to hold on, but alas, roaches are amassing quite quickly. And FanTaSy just doesn't have enough on the ground. He only has 2 Cyclones. FanTaSy needs more time. Does catch one of the Swarm Hosts. Does get 1. But soO is outscaling. The reality here, even though soO has lost a lot of drones, like soO, he's lost so many workers here. But I mean, this is where the lava change comes into play here. Like soO can recover and recoup those losses faster than normal, thanks to the rate of lava, of course. Locust Wave comes in, trades with the army as soO's almost maxed out, and FanTaSy cannot keep up. He cannot keep up, not like this. Again, I want to praise FanTaSy. He killed 29 drones this game. He killed a lot of workers, but again, recovering from those losses is much easier here. Oh, does knock down the towers. Let's go. Can knock down the towers. But it is much easier to recover from those losses. And with that soO, he can just zone away the army. He's maxed out. The soup is lying too, that is true, but I mean, he's still maxed, right? Still maxed out. And with that, soO, he does start to step forward. Oh, tower gets knocked down, does catch a Ravager. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not good enough as roaches, they overwhelm. They snowball out of control. They break the third expansion. We can see that FanTaSy does kite back as best he can. And he will retain 4 Cyclones. Ah, I spoke too soon. As we're down to 2. Down to 2 Cyclones remaining. And there's nothing left to defend, Pappy. Nothing left. And again, FanTaSy had some really good moments. The harass, the run-bys, the counterattacks were solid, but again, not good enough. Not enough to really give himself the lead that he wanted, to be able to maintain his position, to be able to secure the mid-game. Not enough. soO's moving in. Does get one of the tanks. There's 2 tanks left in the main. 3 tanks even. Is FanTaSy gonna make soO break the main? No shot. no shot, Pappy. No shot. I mean, he's gotta do it for the meme, you know? If FanTaSy comes back after 5 years, like he's gotta hang in there until the until the last unit, Pappy. True. It's what the fans want. They want the FanTaSy GG timing. Ah. As well as they connect, they catch out one of the tanks. Big 1, 2, 3 more tanks. And there it is. GG gets called, and soO will take game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. soO will take lead in the series. Again, FanTaSy, honestly, I was very impressed by his harass, by the damage that was being dealt, and soO was being punished for his greed. Remember, soO, he was cutting link production, he was cutting units to get away with 2-base Roach, and he was vulnerable, and he was abused for that. Like, we saw FanTaSy take advantage of that vulnerability, was able to do a lot of damage, but again, recovering from those losses is a little bit easier is easier in this patch, and soO was able to recoup losing 29 drones. 29 drones went down, droned up, resaturated, and was able to just outscale FanTaSy in style as well, going into Swarm Host. Against Swarm Host, they do have a place against mech. We see it less so against battle mech, but remember, FanTaSy was transitioning into battle mech. He had a very low cyclone count, so there was a window where soO could actually make good use of all those Swarm Hosts. GG, well played, and with that, soO does claim the game, and now we're getting ready for game number 2. As I mentioned before, soO, he is the favorite player to make it through the group. We'll see if he can be stopped. We'll see if the Terran players can slow him down. We'll see. As we are getting ready for game number 2. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with the vetoes. My apologies. Let's find out. Oh, there it is. Game 2 is going to be at Attorney's Edge. Game 3, if we get there, is going to be on BlackRock. Here we go. Of course, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are maybe watching FanTaSy for the first time, especially those that are maybe tuning in during like that started watching during the COVID era of StarCraft. FanTaSy was active in Legacy of the Void. If you remember, FanTaSy, he went to the military, and then when he came back, he did play. He did compete in Legacy, but only for a couple of months. I don't think he lasted a year. It might have been a year at most, before switching to Brood War. And it was really sad because it was doing really well. Like FanTaSy, he was improving, he was getting better results, and then did step away. Likewise, if you haven't been watching StarCraft as of late, or if you have been watching StarCraft as of late, then this is not the first time you would have seen FanTaSy. FanTaSy was at GSL. If you're watching GSL, if you're watching us covering GSL especially, I don't know if the other casters caught it, Tasis and State, but FanTaSy, he was in the GSL studio cheering for Hero. The SKT boy. FanTaSy, he was there with MMA and Ollie. They were there together in the front row. So this is not the first time we're seeing FanTaSy this year. It was at GSL. But here we go. In the bottom right hand corner, we do have soO. In the top left, we have FanTaSy. Here we go. The fans, they want to see the GG timing. They do, baby, they do. Oh, right, sorry. I was going to say that for those that may be unfamiliar with FanTaSy, FanTaSy, he was known for the fancy GG timing. That's where that phrase came from. He was known for tapping out very, very late in the game. After the game had basically concluded, he would still hang in there, microing his heart out with like a handful of units, like a couple of Marines, a couple of tanks, a couple of units, even if there was no necessarily real way to recover. Is what FanTaSy is known for. But otherwise, we're settling into game, no one does. I remember FanTaSy, he had an interview about it where he said that like early on in his career, like he left a game too early that he could have and should have won. And then from that moment, he was told to like hang in there until the last, and like he would just, and then he would to never make that mistake again, baby. True. You don't want an early GG, you want a FanTaSy GG. Who are the favorites in this tournament? I would say that soO and Scarlet are the two favorites for sure. But I should also emphasize that even if we were playing on the previous patch, I would say that soO and Scarlet are the favorite players. But I would say that just because, as I mentioned before, Scarlet, she is still an active player, so she's the most informed out of everyone here. And soO, he's the most recent retiree, so he's also the most informed as well. Like, so you have that factor, and then if we're talking about this patch, well, then you have the Zerg buff factor as well. But I'm looking at soO and Scarlet for sure. Now, the real question, if you're asking who am I the most excited about casting, Impact, pappy, for sure. The Pimpacts. I mean, we're biased here because we are at core Axiom fans, and Impact, he was on Axiom, of course, before SKT. One of the Axiom boys. I do still have my WASD, my WASD Axiom keyboard. Still have it. Still use it. From way back when. So Impact, always, Pappy, always. I don't think I ever got to cast Impact, unfortunately, because we started casting what, like in 2018, 2018. So I don't think we ever got to cast Impact. Smurge. This tournament is for retired players. It's for legends. Bearing in mind that we do have some non-retired players competing, so. The theme is old school players, which is maybe a better way of phrasing it. Some retired, some not. Meanwhile, a big shout out to Should Action in the chat. 1 full year of support, 12 months, Pappy, 12 months. God, Pappy, God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the content, the casting of the StarCraft. Thank you, Pappy. Thank you. Do appreciate it. As we're going to be opening up, here we do see a FanTaSy instead. I mean, we had some standard openers, but FanTaSy is going to be going for, instead of Mech, going into an earlier tech lab on the ranks, into Stim. Now, I believe that this is a, I believe it's going to be a 3cc 2-on-1, if I recall correctly. I believe there's a delay in the starport into extra Raxes, so a much more bio-heavy mid-game out of FanTaSy. But we'll have to pan over to the main base to see if he did get a third. In my mind, he did, but I'm not entirely certain. As FanTaSy breaks in, pulls away. soO going for a much more standard layer timing this time. Yep, there's that 3cc. So it's going to be 3cc, 3-1-1. Overlord does confirm Stim being researched, and soO is aware of the bio. It's aware of bio. Overlord going to be hunted down. soO responding with Ling Bane this time. Bane's going to be amassing, and again, welcome to At Attorney's Edge. This is a bit of a larger map in the map pool, a little bit. Likewise, we do have a. I still have to measure. Actually, I have to measure all the maps because I'm not entirely. Obviously, the 4-player small maps are large, but I need to like. I'm still on the fence about At Attorney's Edge and Lockdown and Washouts, and how long and short the rush distance is for those 3 maps. So yeah, I need a better perspective on that. But the map can change depending on how you expand. We can see soO expanding towards the south side, headed towards the gold bases down there. Meanwhile, soO going for the earlier Spire. So again, it was around a 4:30ish or 4-ish minutes layer timing into now a Spire into Ling Bane. This does mean that soO's upgrades are going to be delayed. So soO's going to be delaying his double Evo chamber and delaying 1-1 in favor of Ling Bane and in favor of specifically Mutaplay. And we'll see if he gets away with it. Now, if FanTaSy does go for an earlier timing attack with Stim, then FanTaSy can punish, but bearing in mind, FanTaSy currently has no idea. He doesn't know that mutas are coming, and unscattered mutas can wreak havoc. They can and they will wreak havoc. Scans are natural, doesn't see much. Now, he does see the lack of Evo chambers at the natural base, which is very unusual, but they could technically be in the main. That's the thing here. They could be in the main base. Muta production has begun. Bearing in mind that mutas are now a little bit more microable, they're now easier or stronger to control. I think easier is probably the best word, or more natural feeling. They're going to play on the PTR, so I think this is good timing. Yes, for those who don't know, the initial plan for this tournament was for it to be on the PTR. Like, it was going to be a PTR tournament anyway. Yes, who pulls away, mutas are now revealed. Oh, bearing in mind that mutas they built to harass, they cannot really engage head on here. So still very, oh god, has to be careful. There's a lot of Marines out. soO coming in from behind, collapsing on the army. It doesn't quite get the round he was hoping for, but does slow this down. He slows this down. Behind this, we have more Lings amassing more Banelings as well. soO, he needs to spread creep. soO's already drawn up to 78. Oh, he's reaching peak economy here, getting up to 80 workers. And that window of time where FanTaSy can punish soO is slowly closing. Like, it is closing. 1-1 is on the horizon. I still do worry here for FanTaSy. As getting stuck ass on the map. soO's still messing up. And soO's about to max out. He's about to max out, Bappy. Oh! Doesn't need to respect those Widow Mines. Widow Mines, they move in. So he does not catch out the Marines. Oh, gets a couple of them. Okay. That's what, 5-6 Marines going down. Not bad. Does catch some of the bio. We can see FanTaSy's laid a couple of traps back at home. Let's go. But at this point, soO is maxed. He's maxed. He's now working on 2-2. He can start working towards Hive Tech and the infestation pits. And FanTaSy still has been unable to push in. Still been unable to. And Marines at night creep. Nice moves by FanTaSy. At the same time, soO finally gets across the map. I was going to say earlier here, but soO, he is yet to do any economic damage, but finally does move in. Remember, we have some Widow Mines over at the natural, but not here at the third. And not at the third base. soO does snipe a Gas Geyser, dipping into the main. Going for the add-ons. No major pickoffs. And nothing major. But once again, just distracting. He's distracting FanTaSy as he maxes out. And I'm a little bit surprised, but if I'm not mistaken, I still believe there's no infestation pits. Like, soO, he's building up a bank, but there's no further tech into Hive, which means it's going to be delayed Adrenal, delayed 3-3. Oh, the Byfield! Oh my god. It might zip up off. Decent connection. There we go. One decent Widow Mine shot. But the rest are cleaned up. And yes, soO, he is tunnel visioning a little bit too much here. Especially considering that he's taking a more defensive stance. He's stuck at home defending. Finishing up 2-2. Like, did I miss it? Like, did I miss the infestation pits? No, shot. Okay, I did miss the pit. Hive now begins. I will say that this is still late, though. It looks like there was a window in time where the pit was done maybe like a minute ago or two. So late Hive. And FanTaSy moving in. Pushing onto creep. Oh no, not looking! Oh, yeah, not paying attention. Some brutal engagements there as soO does clean up. Ay, ay, ay. And does he kill the expand? He does! He gets a planetary. Planetary goes down. FanTaSy, who loses fourth. And FanTaSy is in trouble. And the issue now being is that soO's building up a bank to work with, and FanTaSy, he's going to be running out of his economy. FanTaSy, he has to break through. He needs to break through with this. He cannot settle for forcing a cancel. He needs more damage. That's a kill, not a cancel. I mean, that's something. soO collapses in. Thors are going to be going down. Yeah, it takes down both Thors. Banelings, they roll on forward. They do catch out most of the bio. There's only a handful of Marines left, and soO will overwhelm. He just overwhelms the army. Massive connections. The Marines, they cannot get away. And soO, he just rolls on in, and now we can just knock down the bases. The fourth is going to go down. FanTaSy cannot keep up. Not like this. Not like this, Pappy. And with that, soO has broken FanTaSy. The main army now pushing into the natural, rolling towards the main. And I was being very critical of soO for not taking up a hive tech and not going into adrenal or anything of that nature, and I still stand by that. But again, soO, he was still able to get some surprising amount of damage across the map. The fact that the mutas killed the 4th base was insane. That essentially forced FanTaSy's hand. It forced him to push onto creep because he had to do some counter damage because he was losing too much, and that's when soO could take the fight that he wanted. The fight on creep specifically. It's a very patient play out of soO. Very patient. And now we have the hive upgrades, 3-3, adrenal. We can see FanTaSy muling his heart out. The mule hammer, pappy. It's doing what he can. And if there's any way to recover in this game, I mean, FanTaSy is just hoping that soO makes mistakes at this point. The mines! Oh, does it go in? Does he go in? He's so close. No, he notices. Jesus. Okay, he does notice. soO pulls away. I mean, that would have been a way to recover in this game if you could catch all these mutas. It does find some of them at least, but... soO gets away. So he does slip away. And with that, soO is maxed out. Ultra Cavern's on the horizon into Kindness Plating, into Ultra Tech. soO's almost there. Oh god. Okay, we can get some decent mine connections, and maybe again if we can fight, we can force a fight into a minefield, and if soO clumps up. But alas, soO, he's just gonna roll over everything. Oh my god. Bailings overwhelm the Marauders. Now we pull back to the mines. Mine shots are dragged. We get some decent mine. Oh my god, the mine shots. Jesus. Jesus. The mine shots are crazy. FanTaSy takes a decent fight, but again, FanTaSy is broke. He has no minerals. You can see he has no money. So soO takes a really rough fight, pushing up into a minefield. 16 meters go down. But soO's already remaxing with ultras this time. The ultra remax. Again, FanTaSy just lost too much momentum, losing his 4th base. Here, FanTaSy's floating over his main. His main base floats over. Trying to expand. Meanwhile, big shout to Luis GGG in the chat. Gracias, baby, gracias. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Welcome one and all to the Douyu Cup. Douyu Cup 2026, day 1. We are halfway through the broadcast. We're halfway through the broadcast. We're 5 hours in, baby. True, true. As we wrapped up with Group D earlier, now we're here in Group B. And again, soO having the time of his life. Hey, moving in, pappy. You can just say, hey, move. We see FanTaSy microing his heart out to just try to split, but again, the writing's been on the wall for quite some time. FanTaSy was just hoping that maybe we'd see mistakes out of soO, that maybe he'd be dragged into minefields, and we did see a little bit of that, but it was still not enough to recover. GG gets called, and soO will claim the series at 2-0. GG. GG, well played. So he will claim the series. He will be able to advance on into the winners match. Meanwhile, GG, well played at FanTaSy. He will tap out. Still, of course, is going to be in the tournament and will still have another life, another chance to recover. But he's knocked down to the elimination match. GG. GG, well played. With that, congratulations to soO. Now, when it comes to the rest of the group here, very quickly, let us head on over. When it comes to the rest of the group, again, soO is going to be waiting for the winner of Coffee and TY. And I want to see some TY, baby. I want to see. So, again, Coffee versus TY is currently ongoing. The winner goes up against soO. The loser goes up against FanTaSy. Oh, So again, up next, I don't know if we'll have the winners match or the losers match. They alternate depending on the matchup. Like they typically go for the highest profile series. So I would say that if Coffee does defeat TY, and if we get TY versus FanTaSy in the elimination match, I can see the casters going for that elimination match over soO versus Coffee. Like I can see that happening. But we'll see. We'll see how the results turn out and who is up next. TY. For now, though, we're going to be going on a break. Going to be going on a short break, so we're just catching up in all the chats. Is map control just figurative speech that has no clear meaning, like the Italians saying al dente? No, map control, means map control. In the context of StarCraft, it's referring to being able to control the center of the map and forcing your opponent to be more defensive, if that makes any sense. So map control will allow you to, will typically allow you to shut down drop play, contain your opponent, force your opponent to be more reactive to you, and you control the pace of the game, if that makes sense. So there is clear meaning in StarCraft. I don't know if maybe map control is used like in other esports or in other games in like a different way. But that's what it means in SE2. It's catching up. Is this on the new patch? Yes, yes. On the new patch. For now, though, we're going to be going on a break. Going to be going on a short break. So I'm assuming short break. We'll see. We'll see as the players have to set up on stage. When we come back, we'll have a next series. Again, still yet to determine whether it's going to be the winners match or elimination match. It will depend on what players are going to be competing and what players are going to be playing. We'll see. We'll see what our SE Boy production team does decide on. Until then, though, we'll see you soon after the break. See you soon. Bye. See you soon.